Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is a paid request for CrypticChance. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Do have a CashApp as well. People have asked about that. PayPal is usually the best way to do it. Links are down in the info box. It could be any review, re-review, topic, reaction, commentary, tier list, ranking, video game playthrough, whatever the case would be, and I'll get to it as soon as I can. But this is for Lockup, the 1989 film directed by John Flynn, who he's done a few films I liked. Out for Justice, which is my favorite Steven Seagal film. Brainstand, which is a pretty decent Edward Furlong movie. Bestseller with James Woods and Brian Dennehy. And Lockup is one of those films that, sadly, when it came out, it did nothing. And of course, the film stars Sylvester Stallone. And I always enjoyed this film. I always liked this film. I always thought this film was fairly underrated. Stallone, I think, gives a solid performance. You also have Tom Sizemore. Early role from him. May he rest in peace. He's very good in this. Donald Sutherland, may rest in peace to him as well. It's sad watching this. Like, so many people passed away. Tom Sizemore, Donald Sutherland, Sonny Landham, Frank McRae, John Amos. Like, a lot of the main people have passed away, other than Stallone. And Stallone, before I get to it, the story is simple. He's a guy who was with this other guy who was like a father figure to him, helped him at this car shop, repairing, fixing stuff. One day some people came in, roughed the guy up. Stallone took care of some business, got, I think, a little over a year in jail. But as he was getting ready to get out, his father figure, he was deathly sick. He wanted to see him. The warden would not let him, so he had to escape. Now, he got an additional 5 years, but he was able to see the guy before he passed away. And then I guess with other people, he was able to talk about his reasons, get the public support, and he was put into this country club type of prison where he's able to leave and go back home. He's able to go to the shop. He's able to see his girlfriend, play football with the kids, but as long as he comes back, you know, that type of thing. Now, he's got a few months left until his sentence is up, but one night he is thrust into this prison transfer to this much more maximum security prison because of Donald Sutherland, who was the warden before, but because there was so much backlash on him not letting Stallone see his father figure, he got fired and put into this shithole of a prison. And now I guess it's the time where, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to get this guy over here too, make his life a living hell or worse, which is what happens. On the time Stallone is there, he meets Tom Sizemore, who's a prisoner, Sonny Landham, who's one of our antagonists, who owns the yard and is ready to fight Stallone every step of the way. Frank McRae has the garage in the prison system and becomes buddies with Stallone, and they're fixing up this car. There's another guy, I forget the guy's name, but they nickname him First Base. He's fresh into the prison system. He's got like double life. Like, he's, because of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and Stallone's trying to teach him, trying to be a mentor to him. And all sorts of stuff happens throughout the movie. At this time, Stallone, what I do appreciate, one of the reasons why he was my favorite action star growing up, and again, if people ask what's my favorite action star, who is my favorite action star, it'd be Sylvester Stallone. Jean-Claude Van Damme would be second. People like Arnold and Dolph Lundgren and Chuck Norris, like, they'd be behind somewhere, but Stallone was always my favorite. Number one because of Rambo, hence my username. Loved the first 4 films, loved that character. But I appreciated in this time period him trying to do different things. It didn't feel like he was doing the same thing over and over again. And I do think he's a good actor. And he was able to stretch his acting muscles, as much as he could. As much as one could with a face that is paralyzed since birth because doctors with forceps or whatever severed a nerve, and that's why he has the crooked lip, because you can't move. Like, put your face like here and now try to talk. You're talking a bit different, right? Imagine living that every single day. Yet the same critics, they're talking about, you can't make fun of this, you can't be mean to this person. Y'all were making fun of Stallone the way he talked, like, all throughout the 80s and 90s. Talk about hypocritical critics. So, what say that? But anyway, he tried to do different stuff. So he did a Dirty Harry type of film like Cobra. He did a nice father-son drama like Over the Top, which I think is another underrated film. You had the buddy cop film after the same year, actually, Tango and Cash. But sadly, Stallone, like, no matter what he did, for some reason the audience was not going for it. I don't know why. Cobra I love. I think Cobra is a great action movie. But the audiences didn't go to it. It didn't do that well. I'm not saying it bombed, but it didn't do as well as it should have. It made less than 50 million when the previous year he had two films make over 100 million in the US. Now he has Cobra that made less than half, or even less so. Some of them were like 150 million. So what the hell's going on? Well, I don't get it. Over the Top, no one went to see it. This film, no one went to see it. Even Tango and Cash, you say made a little bit of money, but wasn't as much as the studio hoped, especially with all the additional photography they had with that film. So it probably wasn't until Cliffhanger they finally had another bona fide hit in 1993. And it's a shame because a lot of those films I thought were pretty good and pretty underrated, and audiences for some reason, like, they were still gung-ho for Arnold, Predator, Twins, of course Terminator 2, Total Recall, but for Stallone this time they just pushed him away for some reason. But I like that he tried to do something different here, and I thought he succeeded. Stallone, like I say, he's likable, he's personable, he's not going over the top, no pun intended, with the other movie he did years before. Donald Sutherland is my favorite role of his. He plays such a slimy, evil warden that you just love to hate. And he's just so... God, man, each time he's talking with Stallone, you're just waiting for him to get his comeuppance. He just played a great slimy bad guy. This is hell. I'm going to give you the guided tour. He just knew how to sell that. Sonny Landham, who was in Predator, did a guy you could count on him to be a guy you don't want to mess with, to have that presence, that aura of intimidation. Frank McRae, who was in 48 Hours as the Nolte's boss. He was in Last Action Hero, was Arnold's boss in 1993. He's done other films here and there. He was in Rocky 2, I believe. Rocky and Rocky 2. Rocky 2. It was Rocky 2 where Stallone has to be let go. And he's like, well, can I get a little bit of jobs here and there? And Frank McRae's like, hey, you sure you. Because, yeah, he's got to go back because he can't do the commercial stuff. And then Frank McRae gets him this job, packed in the step with the meat again. So, wasn't the first time Frank McRae worked with Stallone. And he's very likable character. Big teddy bear of a guy, seems. Tom Sizemore is the character Dallas. He had a lot of nice energy. This is well before his issues with drugs and things of that nature. So it's a really good cast. It's got a beautiful score by Bill Conti, who worked with Stallone, of course, and did a lot of the Rocky films. It's a very underrated Bill Conti score. The beginning portions are very emotional and cheerful and has a good ring to it. But the action scenes also work well in terms of the score, like during the possible prison escape. It has a nice build up to it. I like the musical instruments he used during those sequences. Great Bill Conti score. Love the song at the end. Ever Since the World Began. I know there was another version done by the guy from Survivor, that band. I don't mind that version, but I always preferred this one by Jimmy Jamison. I remember as a kid, I would watch the film, and then many times I would rewind the VHS tape to the end credits, so I could listen to this song over and over again, because this song, you could not find this version of the song anywhere to buy. You couldn't find it anywhere to buy. And if the lockup, if it was on cassette tape, I couldn't find it. And I remember just jumping for joy when we got the computer, and it might have been YouTube or somewhere. No, before you. It wasn't on YouTube. It was somewhere else. I was like, oh my god, I finally found it. I was like filled with joy. I finally found the fucking song. I can listen to it whenever I want. But I think that's a beautiful song. Ever since the world began. I'm not even going to try to sing because I don't want to butcher people's ears, but I love that song. I think it's a fantastic song. And the movie itself, it goes by a pretty fast pace. Like I said, Donald Sutherland is very slimy and evil as the villain. It has the warden here. As you're introduced to the characters, Sonny Landham, like I said, the intimidation, where don't fucking put a hole in your heart. This is the first time I ever heard the term DTA, don't trust anybody. Of course, people like Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I remember him saying that a lot in WWF when he was getting popular. But I'm sure there's movies that said that term before, but it was the first time I ever heard the term DTA, don't trust anybody. And Stallone tells that to the new guy. The characters have personality, whether it be Tom Sizemore and his sarcastic ways, like when he's talking to a guard, hey buddy, I lost my watch, how about you go look for it? He bends over and the guard pushes him. Or the fun football scene in the mud, which looks like Stallone took a lot of hard hits. Because you can't really fake that. Just there's a scene where Sonny Landham kind of pushes him to do this, play football, and he doesn't want to punch out, but at the same time, he doesn't want trouble. So he's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. So he's got to be part of this football game. And there's people on his team working with Sonny Landham. They're allowing him to get sacked. And you can tell, because they use a lot of slow-mo and a lot of shots, you can tell it's Stallone getting slammed down, getting tackled. And, you can only fake that a certain amount before it starts hurting like a son of a bitch. So, definitely give credit to that. And that's where Frank McRae definitely has Eclipse. He comes into play. I like that he takes the one guy's like, well, you get over there since you're playing for his team anyway. It pretty much telling Stallone, you're not going to be tackled again. And he slams a guy, and the guy's like, what happened? What hit me? The F train. Frank McRae is very likable in the role. And you really feel sorry for Stallone's character. And that's the thing with Stallone, what he would do from time to time with his characters in this era, in this period, is that he would allow to show his character down in the slumps, the underdog. this many times he would show himself as the underdog, which not every action hero would do. And it makes sense. I mean, even Rambo in First Blood was the underdog, where he was whipped and, he was not whipped, but he was beaten and hit with a baton and hosed down and embarrassed, and they're going to shave him dry, and then he finally snaps. But then even through his steeping, he gets hurt massively. He's got to heal himself up. And the Rocky films, many times he's the 1,000,000-to-1 shot. Even in Rocky 3, he loses, and all people he think he's through, but he's help from Apollo Creed in order to get back on the horse again. In this film, he's getting tackled, and he's getting picked on, and he's getting taunted by the warden who keeps tapping on his cell, and Stallone's like, "You won't break me." Or there's a point where he put into the hole, and he's got to keep going up, saying his name and number, and you see he's getting more and more tired. And you're able to see the fragility of his character. And I think that's the thing with Stallone is, he thought of himself as an actor first. I think that's why later on, there are a lot of times you would see Stallone fight his action hero status, because back to the day, Rocky comes out, critics are saying, oh, it's going to be the new Robert De Niro and the new Al Pacino, and I think Stallone would rather prefer that. He would rather prefer that route. He would rather prefer getting films like Heat or Godfather or Taxi Driver, like that type of stuff. Working with Scorsese and stuff, and that just never came up for him. And then the few times he tried, like this, you would say a bit more dramatic, or even Copland. Audiences seem to not come to it. They seem to not really care, which is a shame. Especially for Copland, that's a wonderful movie. But so is this too. And you get to see him having fun with the buddies when they're working on the car, and they're having fun with the spray paint, and a little montage of them having fun building this car. John Amos, he's there as one of the head honcho prison guards. John Amos, may he rest in peace. He was in Coming to America. He was in a lot of TV shows and movies back in the day. Die Hard 2. Ultimately, you realize he becomes an ally by the end of it for Stallone. I thought, John Amos did a nice job. That was a good casting choice for that. And again, you get your dramatic portions, but it's not boring, because I think the story does keep a good momentum through it. Or again, it's the dangers of being in prison, and all the various ways the guards mess with them, and then the likable personalities of Frank McRae and Tom Sizemore. The again little action pieces like the football scene, or the kid decides they built this car, he's going to drive it through, and then they wreck the whole car. There's a little fight Stallone has with Sonny Landon because of a certain character getting killed, and going back and forth and during the fight. There's the attempted escape because he gets tricked into believing that someone's going to rape his girlfriend, but it's all part of a ploy to get there, and then he's got to fight these guards. And like good sound effects at the hits, and it's nice to have a little bit of action there. It's not guns ablaze or anything, but it's nice to have at least a little bit in there for the action crowd. So it's not like some overly sentimental, weepy film, or a Lifetime Channel movie, or it's not trying to be on Golden Pond or something of that nature. It still fits in its demographic, but like I said, I never understood the hate the film got. I never understood it. People, it's unrealistic. I'm like, if you're saying, like, the only thing I could think of is unrealistic is maybe, okay, he's forced into this prison of a transfer when he's done nothing wrong, and then the girlfriend's asking, why did you do that? And she's told, just routine prison transfer. You would think, okay, she would get with the people she talked to before, 5 years ago, and hey, isn't it kind of weird that the same warden who fucked with him before, he's now transferred him here, and you don't think there's anything weird going on? I don't know if there's anything in the script that had more of the girlfriend in it. Because I wouldn't be surprised if there's more scenes of the girlfriend outside trying to do something to get help for Stallone. I can understand that, but at the same time, if you showed a lot of those scenes, maybe it would slow the movie down. And I like that for the most, we don't really leave the prison. That's why I liked it. It didn't just take shortcuts and subplots of, well, there's her going through her life, trying to deal with this. It didn't want to take away from the focus of being within the prison walls. So that's why it didn't bother me. Now, again, I can understand that question coming up of, well, what about the people that helped him 5 years ago? Wouldn't they be questioning, isn't this kind of weird? And if he got public support 5 years ago, maybe get public support now. So I'm kind of curious why the girlfriend didn't try to do that. I guess that'd be one of my few questions of the film. But that's not going to make me go, oh, 0 out of 10, man. This is an F. Maybe an F+. Fuck this movie. No. Getting more into spoilers. Heavy spoilers. I like when, Tom Sizemore does help in tricking Stallone. Because again, they make it seem as if Stallone, this prisoner's going to be released and go after his girlfriend. So, okay, Tom Sizemore, we're going to try this escape, even though I only have a few weeks left. He just led to where they need him to go. He just tricked. Tom Sizemore did it. And he's like very sorry. He's not happy about it. But he's like, I got like 30 years, or whatever it was. And then, of course, Donald's going to screw him over. But at least the character, the way Tom Sizemore plays it, I like how he does feel bad for what happened. He is sorry for what happened. Stallone is still willing to help him. And then when Stallone's in trouble, Tom Sizemore is like, you know what? I deserve my fate. Makes the guard let him go. And I guess kind of has to make the choice of, yeah, this guy's calling him gutless and you're a coward. You would never electrify both of us. And I like the way Tom Sizemore plays it. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. It's a nice build-up, nice emotional palette for Tom Sizemore, who's a good actor. Again, sadly, he passed away. Loved him in The Relic and other films. I thought he did a really good job with that scene, selling. And, again, it's kind of redeeming himself in a way. Even the way that the film ends, I liked how it ended, where Stallone, he could have escaped, but he's like, I'm not running for the rest of my life. For you. Ties him to this electric chair, sets it up, ties his arm off. If they try to shoot him, it goes down, seemingly electrocuting him. And pretty much steering down Sutherland to a confession. I don't mind that whole bit. I thought that was an interesting way of doing it. It was unique. It was exciting. I don't see really anything wrong with it. I think Bill Conti, did a great job with the music. Even the little bit I liked when he's leaving and he's talking to John Amos. You know what I'll miss about you the most? Your smile. John Amos looks at him and then kind of smiles a little bit. Then he goes off, gets his girlfriend, and the movie's over. with again a great song. I don't have much issues with this film. I don't have much that I have problems with this film. I still think this film is highly underrated. I think it's a solid prison drama with little bits of action in there. It's got a good cast. It's got great music. It's got a worthy villain, slimy, hateful villain, Don Sutherland. Again, my favorite role of his. I think Stallone pulls it off his performance. Like I said, I don't really get the hate this film gets. I don't. Like I said, it's a shame. It's a shame this film didn't really do much of anything. It deserved a better fate, in my opinion. But that's just me. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And we'll see you guys later. Thanks once again to CrypticChance. And it was fun to watch this film again. It's been a while since I've seen it. It's very underrated. So we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.